Hello and welcome to tonight's weather video. Yes, we did get a moderate snowfall, a little more than was expected. The models kind of upped the amounts yesterday later on in the day, and I kind of wasn't buying it, but we're going to go over the snowfall totals right now. That is the first thing we're going to do. You can see the skies have cleared out now. They didn't really clear out until sunset, but let's go to the latest snowfall amounts here from Upton, and then we'll go through the latest snow amounts from Mount Holly as well. So you see here, Connecticut around 5 inches, New Haven around 4.7 there, Bergen County 5.6, Essex County. So as we get into central Jersey, this is where the higher amounts were. Essex County, we see a 7-inch amount there, and Union County a 6.2-inch amount. The city really didn't wind up getting as much, probably due to the heat island effect. Bronx only 3.2 inches, Brooklyn around 4 inches. But in Nassau County, this is where we go to Long Island here. Parts of Long Island, eastern parts of Nassau County, northern and easterns, got a lot more than expected. 8 inches in Farmingdale. In Elmont, 7.2 inches. Jericho, 7 inches. Seacliff, 6.5 inches. And then the lesser amounts as you head south and west, 6.2 inches in Belmore. And then another belt, 6.2. Merrick, 6.1 inches. Hicksville, 5.5 inches. We got about 5 inches here in Mineola. No amount for Mineola, of course, but it was around 5 inches. I measured it. Central Park only got 2.9 inches. So, again, the city not getting it much. The temperatures were borderline, and it was a very wet snow, unfortunately, which is causing very slippery conditions. Queens, Bayside got 5.5 inches. JFK got 4.6 inches. Staten Island, a little higher over there. We see a 6-inch amount there. And Suffolk County, this is where the highest amounts were over Suffolk County. Comac, 8.5 inches. Dix Hill, 8.3 inches. Way more. This is like double what I expected, which is a lot more liquid equivalent, too, than was expected, too, as well. St. James, 7.8 inches. Bellport, 7.5 inches. Bohemia, 7.3 inches. Upton, 7.3 inches. Blue Point, 7 inches. Stony Brook, 6.7 inches. East Islip, 6.5. 6.2 in Babylon. Islip Airport got 5.8 inches. And Orient got 4 inches. So a little less as you head way out east, but the central part of Suffolk, including the Pine Barrens, got a decent amount of snow. Westchester around 5 inches over there. Let's go now to the so the black ice is a problem because it was a very wet snow, and we have a lot of black ice out there. Temperatures have gotten very cold tonight. All right, so let's go to, that's why we're seeing all that. Let's go to the Mount Holly office so we can get the rest of Jersey here. See if we can find that. This is it. So this is from Mount Holly. I am just going to go over New Jersey here. So some of the amounts in New Jersey here. Atlantic County. Not too much over in Atlantic County. Hamilton, 4.8 inches. But as you headed further north in Burlington County, you see some 7-inch amounts there. Camden County, 6.5-inch amounts there. Gloucester, a little less there, 5 inches. Hunterdon, yes, where you're going to see your 6-7-inch amounts. Mercer County, 7, around 7, the highest amount there, 7.7 inches. Middlesex County, these are, we're starting into the higher amounts now. Middlesex, Monmouth, and Ocean really got a lot of snow. Metuchen, 8.7 inches over there. Edison, 6.6 inches. Sayreville, 5.6 inches. Monmouth County, Colts Neck, 8.3 inches. Tinton Falls, 8.3 inches. Howell, 8 inches. Freehold, 7.1 inches. And that's why they upgraded it to a winter storm warning late last night because of that. Long Branch, 5 inches. Ocean County, Jackson, 8.6 inches. Whiting, 8.2 inches. Toms River, 8.1 inches. Brick, 7.5 inches. So, yeah, a decent amount of snow over there. 7.5 inches in Somerset County and Millstone. Bridgewater, 6.6 inches. And Sussex County, high point, 7.2 inches. That's usually an area that sees a lot of snow as well. So as far as effects of the snow, there's been some scattered power. I don't know if NJ Transit was affected. Let's just see. I don't see any alerts here. Let's see. Rail service is 30-minute delays, and the Dinky is suspended. So it looks like that's what they got going on over there, because, again, some of that is going to affect the road conditions and stuff like that. And the temperature is down to 20 in Central Park. And we're going to look at some of the observations in our area right now as far as temperatures go, because they have dropped quite a bit now. 23 at Islip, a little bit warmer on the island. Been a little bit warmer on the island, but now the temperatures are dropping. 21 degrees. You got that northwest wind. Look at Tom's River is down to 18 already, and that's Lakewood, actually. My mistake. Miller Airport down to 16 degrees with a wind, by the way, so it's not radiational cooling. Yeah, they're really getting into some much colder air over in Ocean County there. Real pocket of cold air. Well, they got more snow, so that probably has something to do with it as well. So the temperatures have really dropped quite a bit. 16 degrees, dew point 7. So yeah, very cold over there. Very cold night over there. That high of 34 was earlier in the day, as pretty much everything is. So I'll just show you what the skies look like tonight and what it looked like outside here. You could see a wet snow. You could see the snow sticking to a lot of the trees. Again, we had the clouds sort of clear out toward later. You can see there are some clouds that are thinning out toward later, and still some clouds in the evening. But a nice night to look at Christmas lights. Very nice. I was out looking at some Christmas lights tonight. That's absolutely beautiful. Some more Christmas lights. It looks really nice when you have the snow on the ground. It's really amazing. Let me tell you. Again, got the snow here on the trees. It's a wet snow, so it's sticking to the trees. The alley, unfortunately, is not as cold as the other areas. It's 26 in the alley, of course. So it's still a little bit warmer in the alley versus every other locations. But it is going to get down to the teens tonight with the wind, by the way. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at the liquid equivalent from this storm. So hours, and you can see this is the liquid equivalent. I don't know if there's got to be more than that. There's got to be more than that. So this is just the rainfall, but the liquid equivalent needs to be recorded as well. The liquid equivalent of that snow that fell. They usually do count that. We'll go over our statistics today at Islip. Oh, we do have records here. Hold on. Islip had a record snowfall 5.8. Breaks the old one set of 4.1 inches there. So, yeah, we got and JFK also probably had a record snowfall amount as well, 4.6 inches, breaking the old record of 4.5 set back in 2003. So, let's look at our climate information for Islip today. So a high of 34 and a low of 29. Of course, it is colder than that now. 6 degrees below normal. And precipitation, all right, they're not really counting the liquid equivalent of the snowfall, at least not yet, because if it's 5.8 inches, that has to be more than 0.23 inches of liquid. So I'm thinking we saw more like 3/4 of an inch of liquid, half to 3/4 of an inch of liquid across our area from this vent. Definitely a little more moisture than we were expecting. That is hard to predict, So we got clear skies for now. Looking at our satellite, you can see the cold air streaming in. You can see all the ocean effect actually offshore developing there. All the ocean effect clouds, and that cold air moves over the much warmer ocean waters, and those ocean water temperatures are still, probably if we look at the marine weather here, look at some of these, the buoy summaries, and see if we can get some water temperatures. Yeah, the water temperatures still, New York Harbor Actors near 49, south of Block Island 50. So the water temperatures are still pretty warm out there. So if you take that cold air and put it over the water, you're actually getting similar to like lake effect. You can actually see it here on the radar. There it is right there. So it looks like some of it's actually over New England too as well. So if you're offshore, yeah, it could be some snow squalls if you're offshore. And we still have that gale warning in effect. And cold weather advisories as well. And if we pan this out, you'll see we have cold weather advisories across a lot of areas because of the colder the cold weather that's coming in. Look at how far south this cold air has gotten to, 30s all the way down to the southeast here. So this is a decent cold front here, single digits in the Great Lakes area here, and even some below zero. So this is a pretty decent, sizable Arctic outbreak that's coming in, and probably the coldest one yet we've seen so far. And with the snow on the ground, that's going to help keep things colder. So let's go look at the models now, and we'll take a look at what our week is to come, because you can see there's a big Arctic high that's building in. It's going to bring a pretty frigid next couple of days, but we'll first go to the overall pattern here, and let's go to the European model. And we will be using the 18Z. I guess we'll stick with the 18Z in this particular run, just to take us in for the next week or so. So let's go to the jet stream, and obviously there's that trough that is bringing us the cold air, and we have less in the way of some big troughs, so a little bit of a mild. But then there's some more troughs as we get toward the weekend. And, yeah, I guess this doesn't really go a full week out, so we have to use the other one, I guess. You can see, though, that there is a trend toward a little bit of a moderation and milder weather versus the Arctic air that we've been seeing. So let's look at our jet streams. Not our jet stream, but our upper air. You can see there's that deep trough. There's that deep trough with our storm there. See that there isn't really a good block in Greenland, so that means that we're going to see moderation and warmer temperatures. And the next cold air outbreak that will come probably won't be quite as substantial. Here's one on Friday, and then there's a return to some ridging after that. So after we get through that, we'll probably have some moderations, and it looks like a warmer pattern sets up as we get toward the end of the month. And I'm sure the GFS would probably back that up as well. For consistency's sake, we'll look at the GFS as well. So there's a little more of a... The GFS seems to want to have some more troughs here. And the GFS actually does bring a really big block as we get toward the end of the month. But it doesn't look like there's any... Yeah, that's a big block. But there's no cross-polar connection, Arctic connection. So even though we have a block there, it might not actually bring air that's all that cold. So let's go to the CONUS view and go ahead and look at our temperature anomaly chart here. First with the GFS. Obviously, the bitterly cold Arctic air that we have now will be with us for a couple of days, but then it moderates. We go above normal as we get toward the later part of the week, well above normal. And then there's a little shot of some colder air that comes in by the weekend, but then you could see not as much cold air here. There's still some here. This is the GFS, obviously, and it's still bringing in, again, actually, it's still trying to bring in another Arctic air, even though it doesn't look like it's got that cross-polar connection. It just seems like it wants to bring in some Arctic air toward the end of the month. So, we'll have a little bit of a break from it, I think. Let's look at the European. A similar idea here. Moderation as we get toward the later part of the week. Then cooler air for the weekend. Then a moderation. And then a little more cooler air for next week. And then you can see the cold air kind of just stays up there. A little bit of it tries to come in here. But then we start seeing moderation. So there is going to be moderation after this cold outbreak. But it still won't be what I call a much warmer than normal pattern, originally like it was originally showing. So let's go look at the surface now, and you see that big high that's coming down. That's going to go over to the southeast, and we are kind of dealing with the wind tomorrow in the northwest. Again, we got the hot wind. The center of the high is going over to the southeast. Unfortunately, not over us, but it should hopefully bring enough chances for some sunshine. Hopefully, you enjoy the snow. That high one more day over with the Arctic high on Tuesday. Then it starts moving offshore. We get into the warmer flow. And then we have a very strong cold front come through probably sometime on Friday. It could be Friday morning. And this looks like it has a lot of wind to it. And a lot of wind. Look at how tight those isobars are. So that could be our next wind advisory situation. And also perhaps even severe weather with that. We'll have to watch. And then behind that, we get a blast of cold air. And then as we get into Saturday, into next week, you still see high pressures there. And then there's a couple of storms here in the mix that'll have to be watched. But it seems like it. Let's go to the GFS now. Again, consistency's sake, I used the 12Z. So similar deal here. There's that front for Friday. High builds in. I mean, it looks kind of similar, but the GFS definitely tends to look a little colder, with more cold air outbreaks coming in. So we'll have to see it. Again, I trust the Euro more on this. So let's take a closer look at our area and look at the shorter range of things and the HRRR, obviously. Again, you see that snow offshore. Look at that. That's. But tomorrow, we shouldn't be dealing with any precipitation. There could be a chance of a flurry with a little disturbance later in. It's actually developing possibly a little bit of light snow. Perhaps probably won't amount to anything, and it'll probably be a very different type of snow than the snow we saw. Would be very powdery due to the cold air that we have. It's just like a little wave coming through. And then Tuesday will be fair. We should have more sunshine on Tuesday, I think. We'll take look at a couple of soundings here for certain times of the day to see what our skies might be like. There is a push of some mid-level or maybe upper-level moisture for it. That's around 15Z. Let's see what it looks like there. Yeah, a little bit of it. So there could be some scattered cirrus around. I think it gets worse as we get later in the day. Yeah. So we'll have to see if we get clear skies tomorrow or not. Probably will be some higher mid-level clouds at time to time, perhaps. And then, obviously, we have the snow, and then it might clear out after the snow. And let's see what it looks like in the morning there. No, still have a cloud cover. So I don't think we'll have radiational cooling. And then for Tuesday, it looks like Tuesday would be our best day to see mostly sunny skies. Yeah, this looks pretty good. So at least for part of the day. I think as we get toward later in the afternoon, we have more upper level. No, it still looks good. Let's for Jersey, there might be a little more upper level, but this looks good for Tuesday. So it looks like Tuesday would be the sunnier day of the two. But it will be cold nonetheless. So here's our dew points and wind flow. And you can see the northwest winds that will be with us tonight, and we stay with the dry air, dew points in the single digits. And look at look at that air. Wow, that's really again, the core of it seems to go over the mid-Atlantic there, and to the west, and then we probably start seeing that a little bit on Tuesday. So after that wave comes through, the winds kind of shift a little more to the west. And then Tuesday, I think we get into that batch of air, that really dry batch of air. So that could bring in some fairly clear skies, hopefully, for us. And the winds will be lighter on Tuesday, so Tuesday will be a better day. Tomorrow we'll still have more in the way of wind. Not wind advisory weather, but let's look at the temperatures now. So overnight, we are dropping into the teens, all of us, and this is not a radiational cooling driven. This is cold air advection, so lows in the teens for probably mid-teens. So I figure around 15 degrees or so for a lot of locations. And then tomorrow, we're not going to make it above freezing tomorrow. High temperatures probably going to get close to 30, and that's going to be it. If we're lucky, might only be in the 20s. Then tomorrow night with the cloud cover, it won't drop as much. Probably lows will probably be in the 20s. And then for Tuesday, we'll have temperatures maybe a little bit closer to freezing, maybe around freezing. But it's still going to be pretty cold. So the snow is not really going to melt very much over the next couple of days, and there's still going to be a lot of ice out there. It's not going to really go anywhere either. We're going to go beyond that now to the European and show you how things warm up as the week goes on. So here's a European dew points and wind flow, by the way. A little more aggressive with the drier air. You can see where the patches of it are. You can see that. I wonder if that has to do with the lakes. It's a little bit of higher area, higher points. But anyway, as we get into Wednesday, you'll notice the wind shift to the southwest. That brings in warmer air. And then Thursday, we have starting off with light winds, and then they shift to the south. And then we have a lot of warm air that comes in. A really quick shot. This could be an LLJ event early Friday morning, and the dew points rise pretty quickly. But then look what happens as you get after Friday. The temperatures, the dew points crash, gusty west winds, and then for the weekend, You see that shot of cold air seems to want to go more to the northeast, so we don't really get into it as much. And we may start off with a northwest wind, and then it kind of shifts over. So let's look at our temperatures. Obviously, still going to be chilly. Now, the question is, Tuesday night, would there possibly be a chance for radiational cooling? Let's see if we have cloud cover. We do have a lot of high cloud cover Tuesday night, but that may not be enough to stop radiational cooling. So it's possible, but I think there's going to be warm air advection, so I'm not so sure on that. By the way, we do get above freezing on Wednesday with highs around 40, and then we warm up even more. Still drops that there could be radiational cooling overnight because you still have the dry air. And if you just have some high clouds, it could still cool down to the 20s at night, maybe even colder in the Pine Barrens. And then for Thursday, you're not quite as aggressive with the warmth, still mid-40s. But it brings the warmth in overnight. And then you see the temperature shoot up into the 50s with that warm sector there. And then with that LLJ type of situation. And then as you get into Friday, you can see the temperatures drop in through the 40s. And then overnight, you're back below freezing again, and then Saturday, you're going to only be in the 30s. So that's what it's looking like right now. Now, this LLJ we're going to look at as well. It's the other thing I'll go ahead and look at because this is kind of interesting here. Look at this. This could be a pretty strong cold front, and there's a bit of a V in the isobars. So we'll have to watch for severe risk for that, and that will bring a decent amount of rainfall. So I think between the warmth, most of that snow is probably going to be gone by Friday because it's giving us at least probably a half to maybe an inch of rain out of that, between that and the warmer temperatures that we're going to see. And like I said, other models are upping the temperatures more. We're going to look at those as well. So let's go over to Ventus Sky first. This will be the first site we're going to use here, just to show you the wind issue, the wind that we're going to have in the short range. And not, again, gusts into the 30s, nothing crazy, but again, with the cold temperatures, it's going to make it feel, if it feels like temperature here, yeah, it'll make it feel like it's in the teens most of the day tomorrow because of the wind. So even though the air temperatures will be mostly in the mid to upper 20s, we'll still have that. And then as we get into, this is when things warm up. So we're going to show you Wednesday. You can see showing Wednesday in the 40s, and then Thursday we pop into the mid 40s. All right. But it's that a warm sector overnight, which is what we're going to look at when we go to the European here. We'll show you this again. You can see that southerly wind. But let's go to the European and windy.com because this is our next storm, so to speak. All right, that we'll have to watch. So let's look at let's go over to Friday here, Friday morning. So you can see there's a pretty strong LLJ here. Wind gusts. Yeah, look at this, 50. Yeah, this is gonna be a snow-eating wind with a strong wind like that. It's gonna help scour out a lot of that snow and melt it. 50s. Temperatures in the 50s and wind gusts possibly up to 50. So this could be a very strong LLJ event overnight. It would be overnight, Thursday night into Friday. It looks like we could have a pretty major LLJ event with that front there, and behind it still it's going to be windy too with gusts into the 40s. So that would be our next wind threat. That is really impressive, by the way. I'm going to just change the altitude on this and see what this LLJ looks like. Let's go up to a third. This doesn't let me go. Let's go up to 2,000 feet. Take a look at these winds here. So at 2,000 feet, you got winds at hurricane force. So yeah, this is something we're going to have to watch for Thursday night into Friday. But in the meantime, we're going to be dealing with some cold weather. So let's go back to tidbits. We'll go look at the sky. Let's go back to tidbits here. We will go and use the RGM, which we do have most of the 0Z in now. So let's go ahead and look at that. So here's the 0Z run of the RGM. You can see, looks like we'll start off with sunshine tomorrow. Actually, the RGM looks pretty decent for most of the day. It has some clouds over New Jersey, but Long Island keeps it mostly sunny. And then for Tuesday, we'll start with some clouds in the morning, and then that day it looks mostly sunny. And again, maybe just some scattered high clouds coming in late toward the evening. But other than that, looks fairly sunny for Tuesday on this particular model here. So Tuesday looks pretty good. And then after that, we'll be dealing with more clouds as you get into Wednesday here. Some more high clouds. And then Thursday, well, you'll be dealing with some high clouds on Thursday too, probably from time to time. That's as far as it goes. We'll go and look at the GFS as well, which obviously is a lower resolution. So GFS starting off clear, and again, you can see that ocean off that cloud. More clouds toward the afternoon. And I think Tuesday looks like the better day. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we'll be dealing with clouds. And I don't really run the cloud forecast beyond 5 days. So here's Friday, and then maybe Saturday we might see some sunshine, but I'm not going to run it beyond that any more than that. So let's go to the Climate Prediction Center here. 6 to 10 day outlook, and you can see a really big area of above normal temperatures in the south there. Throughout much of the country, pretty much the southern 3/4 of the country, except for the northeast and the extreme north, which has to near normal to below normal temperatures, slightly below normal temperatures. See, the heat is kind of kept away from us, well above normal in the west. That's not good because there's been a lot of disastrous flooding in Washington, which the media hasn't even spoken about. And you can see that's continuing. Excellent chances for more heavy precipitation in the west, and near normal for our area, and below normal in the south. And then as we get to the 8 to 14 day, it stays fairly similar, the pattern here. So you can see seems to be where there's just a huge ridge in the center of the country, and you can see the well above normal precipitation in the west there, and below normal in the southeast. So that's what it's looking like right now. Okay, the last thing we're going to take a look at, I know you're probably thinking, why would you want to look at the ice with all this cold weather? Well, we have to look at it because even though we've got all the cold weather, it doesn't mean that the planet is not warming, and it is warming, and it's still warming. And we'll go ahead and look at the sea ice today and show you the graph here. And this is not good. We are at the bottom here. Arctic sea ice extent is down a lot. You got to remember all this cold air that's coming down. And as cold as it is, it's not really breaking records. All right. So even though it's cold, it's but you could see here that look at that. It's not good at all. Seeing that ice extent being so low here. This is the map here. Unfortunately, we don't get an analysis anymore. You know why that is. But you can see there's a lot of missing ice. And unfortunately, again, we don't have. I'm going to try to work on finding another site from another country that will provide better data for us. Unfortunately, but this is all you need to see. This chart here is kind of showing exactly what's going on here. We are below the 2012 to 2013 minimum, so that is you can see. So we are very much below normal, very alarming. Even though it's cold, you look at the planet as a whole, and we go back to, let's say we go back to tidbits here, and I go and I change this. We'll go to regions, and I'll change this to the hemisphere. And we'll show you use the European here and show you the temperature anomaly. You see a lot of the Arctic's actually quite warm. So you can see a lot of it's quite warm. There is some cold weather going on in Canada, but the Arctic, especially over the ocean, is very warm, and that's where sea ice forms. So with that warmth there, you're not going to get the sea ice that you normally would see, and that doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. So anyway, with that, that's the end of this weather video. Have a good night, and for those of you who love the cold weather, get out there and enjoy it. It looks like maybe we're going to finally have a winter this year. So it's a rare thing to have a proper winter, but it looks like this year we're going to. At least right now. Hopefully it's not just a tease. Anyway, have a good night.